Well, it's gonna be interesting to see how that one plays out. But it's let's move on, because it's interesting when you talked about ambition before, Sean, and I want to talk about the Conference League now. And is the Conference League below us? We saw Harry Kane quotes today saying the quotes are, "You can't disrespect any competition you play in. It's one of those. If you end up in the Conference League and win it, it's worth it. If you don't, then it's probably looked at as an inconvenience. But when you've been at a club where you haven't won a trophy for 15 years, if we do end up in it, it could be an opportunity to put that one to bed." We'll start with you, Sean.
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane said that.
Really?
So what's your opinion, Sean, on the Conference League? Do you think it is below us once we're in it? Do you think that we should be giving it a real fist to go and win it? I mean, what's your opinions on it?
Yeah, 100%. I didn't know Harry Kane said that, but that essentially resonates with my thoughts entirely. Like, I don't care if we finish. I still think there's an outside chance of finishing sixth, because I think Brighton's run-in is incredibly hard, and I think we might be able to qualify for the Europa League. And if we can do that, then we 100% should be going for that. If we reach for the stars, and the stars, I mean Europa League, as sad as it sounds, and then end up landing on the moon, which would be the Europa League, the Conference League, then so be it. I don't care if we're out of it. I understand the argument. There's a lot of people that I speak with every day that say, no, we're in the middle of the start of a massive, painful rebuild that has so much, so many unknowns in front of us, that it's better just take a season out, do what Newcastle did, rebuild with the focus on the Premier League. I get the argument for it. However, for me personally, I think if you look at what Jose Mourinho, the way that Roma received winning their first European trophy for however long it was,
ever, I think.
And then what they've used that first trophy ever potentially, and then what they've used that as a catalyst for, as a sort of stepping board, a launching board into now going into the Europa League and doing good things there. I don't think anybody at Roma resented being in the Conference League. I think Tottenham had a bit of arrogance that it was beneath us. I don't think it needs to be. I think that if we are going to land in it, I don't think we should be fighting to finish 8th. I think we should be fighting to finish 6th. And if we happen to finish 7th, then so be it. We do take it seriously. I agree with what Harry Kane says, that if you go into it and you fail, then it's a hindrance and it's a pain in the arse. But if you take it seriously, or treat it in one of two ways. You either take it very seriously and you go and win it, or you use it as a platform to bed your under 21s and some of those players into professional football, first team football, one or the other. But what you don't do is do what we did, which was kind of play our not our 21s, but our substitutes that don't really care either way, and they think that they're better than it, and resented the fact that the first team stayed at home and that the B team went out there. All of that stuff was a horrible way to approach it. I don't really care if we finish 8th or we finish 7th. If we do finish 7th, then I want us to take it seriously. And I think that we should use it as a platform to build from, just like Roma did. And if it is a trophy that we can win, then I think all Tottenham fans will celebrate it, because it's been so long since our last trophy. So I'm all for it. If we qualify, then take it seriously and go for glory.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on, to be honest. I mean, I don't think anyone can sit here hand on heart saying, I'm dying to be in the Conference League, I want to play in the Conference League next season. I think we all kind of look at it as a bit of, it's a bit embarrassing probably to play in that tournament. But I think if we actually do qualify for it and we are playing in it next season, surely we got to go all out to win it, or try our best to go and win that. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you guys, but I don't want it to be an echo chamber, so I'm just going to switch it up on you, man. And I just remember Paco de Ferreira, if that's even how you say the name, and us getting beaten. There's something about us in competitions, yeah, especially when they're low competitions against low opposition. The low opposition, doesn't matter how dead they are, they just turn up and they end up embarrassing Spurs all the time. And I think that's what hurt
Miura.
A lot of Spurs fans' prides. Mm-hmm. We're up for the game, we're up for it, we're like, yeah, we can see this player, we can see this different formation, we get a chance to see some of our younger players, and then all of a sudden it's just another reason to be angry again on a Thursday night, and you're like, damn you Spurs, not again. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but you know what, to be honest with you, I am with you guys, as much as I'm trying to swing the other way. Pause. But to be fair, I just think it just makes sense to kind of put out your just try to tinker with systems, try to use different players, and then if you can go for it, because let's face it, when it's the League Cup in the final, you end up playing Man City or Liverpool or Chelsea, who we end up always losing against on penalties, or we end up losing 2-1 or 1-0. In this UEFA Conference League, we have a real strong chance of going all the way if we were to take it serious. It's just about rotation. I think most fans are scared about rotation because they saw what happened in the Champions League, and because of previous Champions Leagues before, we've tried to play the same starting 11, because every time we drop below that, it's like it's not the same level, and then we end up getting hit on Sunday. We end up losing our games 1-0 or 2-1 against teams that we shouldn't. And I think the fan base has got PTSD. I think that's what it is. And I just say, look, really, I just want us to have one game a week, rest the squad, and then we finish stronger. Because let's face it, Newcastle are looking stronger. Arsenal are Arsenal now. Do you know what I'm saying? They were the laughingstock, but now they've decided to turn up. And then you've got Man City, Liverpool back. Do you know what I'm saying? Chelsea are going to be very desperate to impress. And now, on top of all of that, out of nowhere, not out of nowhere really, but Brighton have come to the party. Brighton are now a problem. So now the league's that much harder, and then you're going to add extra European nights when you've got to fly over to Uzbekistan. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. Like, I don't know. It's a hard one. It's not as black and white. It's like, yeah, we could win it, and we'll probably end up getting peppered 5-1 by Torrens or something, or Mura. FC Mura or something like that. Stupid. So yeah, I hear both sides.
But do we have a right as a fan base to sit here saying we're desperate for a trophy, we want to win a trophy, and then to go in the Conference League if we do qualify for it and just chuck it away like we win trophies every year? Like, is it below us or not?
You know what it is? I think for me personally, I can only talk for myself. For me, it's the name conference. I associate conference with below Division 3. I'm like, of all the names that you could, like, I guarantee you, if we won that cup, we would get bantered. We would get bantered for winning that cup. I guarantee you, bro. Like, one thing winning a League Cup or FA Cup, because people are trying to look down on that, but Conference League, like...
The Conference League is above the League Cup, I reckon.
In your opinion, but tell that to Man City or Chelsea or Arsenal fan. Like, trust me, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. I'm just saying the other side. I'm just saying, like, you don't have to agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really don't like the competition, to be honest. I wish it just didn't exist and I wouldn't have to have this conundrum. But the fact of the matter is, it is here, and it is a third-rate European competition. I'm not going to lie, I would rather not qualify for it. I would rather just have no European football than be in the Conference League. But if we were to qualify, I agree with Sean's assessment. We have to go for that last Europa League spot. I do think Europa League is a good competition. And if we do happen to fall into that Conference League spot, then I do hope that, well, I mean, a part of me does hope that we take it seriously, but the problem is, because if you got a new the new manager would really value that time on the training pitch with the players, and I feel like it just breaks up that midweek when you have to go travel. It takes the day before, and then you don't have the training day game. You only have one day of training after the European game for that Sunday game, so it really does hinder your opportunity to get literally players on the training ground to implement your style. I do think it hurts you, but if we can use it in a way where bloods in young players, it keeps players fresh in that kind of way, I think that's what I would use it for. I wouldn't, honestly, especially in the group stages, I wouldn't be taking our first team like to NS Mura away. I'd rather lose with our second team than tire out our first team and like really hinder us for the Premier League games on Sunday. That's what I would value. Like West Ham right now, they're in the semi-final. Like no one cares. No one's talking about it. No one's saying, "Oh my God, it's unbelievable, West Ham in the European semi-final." It's like whatever. That's that's the problem. I mean,
The narrative I'm hearing about West Ham is that it's unbelievable that they've reached 2 European semi-finals in a row.
Moyes is has been under massive pressure all season. Like, he's like nearly lost his job on a number of occasions. I guess the Conference League has been like a really good thing for them. Like the fact they're in the semi-final, and it would be a great achievement for them to win it. But the fact of the matter is, we've been Champions League regulars over the last decade or so. We've been in it more than we haven't been in it. So to then drop into the Conference League is obviously going to be a bit of a kick in the teeth. And whether you want to see it as below you or not, the fact of the matter is, when you've been in the Champions League, you are going to see it as below you, and I think a lot of the players will do. But we are going to have a refresh in the squad, maybe a different mentality. And I do think if we were to reach the knockouts, I do think at that point, yes, I think you've got to play your first team, take it very seriously, and try your best to win it at that point. But I think at the beginning of the season, it's hard for me to say that I think we should value those group stage games that highly, when I think the new manager's going to need that time on the training ground. I'd rather he keeps the players at home and works with them, to be honest.
What do you think the new manager, let's say for argument's sake it is Nagelsmann, what do you think his mentality around the competition will be?
He'll want to win it. I'm sure.
And you want a manager that wants to win it.
Yeah.
You want a winning mindset manager. What I would say, if I agree with what you're saying, Sim. Like, the early stages, send over the B team or the youngsters or whatever. But I would be enforcing the message, kind of like what Ryan Mason said, which I thought was incredibly brave. Listen, I don't want Ryan Mason, and I don't want to get off the topic too quickly, but I don't want Ryan Mason to be our next manager. However, I want to give the guy absolute credit for what he said before the game, and for his bravery and composure in making tough decisions around the pivots in formation and strategy. And it shone a light on some of the reasons why people maybe had question marks over Conte previously. But what he said specifically before the game was these players are playing for their futures. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that you could take, and maybe he was saying that tongue in cheek, maybe he was saying it to get a reaction, maybe he's doing it to put his name in the hat as a manager that wants to, invoke some sort of response. But I think you could take that kind of precedent and use it in the Conference League next season, and be saying it to whoever it is that does get on the plane to Slovenia or Slovakia or Turkey or wherever they end up going, is to say, like, we've been in this competition before, and none of the people that were there before gave two hoots about this. Mm-hmm. I am judging you on how seriously you take this. Like, Harry Kane and Sonny and Richarlison or whoever may not be here, but the guys that are there, this is your audition for a pathway into the first team. So whether it's Alfie Devine or or Dorrington, whether it's whoever it might be from the youth team, Donnelly or the twins, whether it's people that are in the Brian Hills, if they're back, whoever it is that's going on that plane, they need to know that the eyes of Tottenham, the football club, the fans, and the first team coach, just because they're not visible, they're watching, and what you do on those nights will dictate your ability to get minutes on the Sunday or the following Sunday. And that is the way that I think that you can get the best out of both worlds. You can use it as a platform to experiment with the B team, but if they do not know that there's consequences for their actions in those environments, then you'll have the same system that you saw last time.
Yeah, I agree. And Harry Kane should be the biggest champion of that, because that's exactly what he did when he broke into the team. He was literally knocking it out of the park week in, week out in the Europa League, and everyone was saying each week after each goal he should get a chance, and he just wasn't getting it. Poch wasn't playing him, and then the form was too good. It was too good to ignore, and that's how they. And then obviously he got his chance in the Premier League and never looked back. So I agree with that. If we're going to be in this competition, like Ben Davies said last season, that when the B team was flying over, he said it felt like it was like the second string team, and whatever we did when we're second string anyway, so we're not going to get a look in the first team. So I guess that affected the mentality, and that is a tough line to follow, because I think you don't want to send. I don't think you want to go there and play your best team, in my opinion, because I think it could cause too much disruption in the early
But
days.
you have to reward them, though.
Yeah, but you don't want to just send your second string either, because then I think it probably disrespects the competition. It probably won't get good performances out of the players as well if they feel like they're just second string and that's the reason they're going. So there is a tough line you have to follow with this competition.
It's a delicate balance, Sim, right? But if you actually not only tell the players playing this is how I'm judging you. I'm not judging you on what you do on the under 21s or whatever else. I'm not judging you for the B team. I'm judging you in the European games. If you turn up here, this is your pathway into the team. If you don't, this is your pathway out of the club. And then if a player does turn up and goes to Mura, goes to Pasco Ferreira, whatever it was, goes to Turkey, and then puts in a worldy performance, all right, against against a poorer team, then you then follow that up by putting that person and giving them minutes. If not on the Sunday because they'll be tired, then the following week. You have to have a reward mechanism, the carrot and the stick. If they don't take it seriously, then they're ostracized to some degree. If they do take it seriously and they put in the shift and they help us get through those boring, horrible games on Thursday nights, then you reward that commitment with minutes on the pitch that otherwise they wouldn't necessarily get. It has to be a two-way street, and I think that is the best way that a new manager could treat the competition with the correct level of seriousness.
On the flip side, if it is a Nagelsmann taking over or something, then he could use those kind of games as not like training, but like as a way of like testing new things or implementing like his system and helping that. So maybe if he does, like, yes, it could hurt the league form in that sense because, you know, you lose energy and stuff, but at least, you know, the more games the first team has to get up to speed with how he wants to play, you could argue the better. So you could use it in that way as well if you really want to go for it. But I do worry if we play the first team, and you just see it. How often do you see it? Teams get affected by long European trips and their form starts to tip in the Premier League. That's what I am worried about. But I guess, look, if you finish 7th, that's the consequence, I guess. That's why it's so difficult to manage both.